The girl sailed eastward alone beneath a sullen sky, the wind clawing at the tattered canvas above the storm dancer's single mast. She stood hidden among pergolas of rope and salt-caked crates, smaller than the oaken barrels lashed to the rail, yet she felt weightier than any cask. The weight of dead names rattled in her breast like black stones in a pouch. Arya Stark whispered them each dawn and each dusk. Joffrey Baratheon, Cersei Lannister, Meryn Trant, Polliver, Weiss, the Tickler, Island Pain, the Hound, and always the Mountain. 8 names now. Hot Pie had said a prayer for every crumb of bread. She offered prayers of a truer sort, promises. Father had taught her the free cities lay across the narrow sea like a scatter of gemstones. Yet when Braavos first breached the horizon, it rose not gem-bright but forged of dusk and iron. Fog licked the hull, carrying the scent of rust and river mud. She glimpsed towers severed by arching bridges, domes veiled in violet haze, and 1,000 lanterns flickering atop masts so tall they seemed to pin the sky. A black stone titan best rode the harbor mouth, torch raised, sword lowered. Its empty eyes regarded her passage with chill indifference. Welcome or warning, she could not tell. She only knew the statue left her feeling very small and strangely seen. She slipped from the cog the moment its sailors tied fast, darting between customs officers in purple cloaks, her hood drawn low. The coins Jacqueline had pressed into her palm back at Harrenhal clinked soft as wind bells. Vala Morgulis, he had whispered when they parted. All men must die, but we are not men, you and I. She did not yet know what he meant, only that the words clung to her tongue like river chill. Braavos swarmed with strangers. Summer islanders draped in sunset silks, sellsword companies swaggering in oil-black scale, pale Lycene courtesans whose gowns clung like mist, and red priests chanting praise to some foreign fire god. Yet none spared the slight, ragged girl more than a passing glance. That suited her. Ghosting through markets of copper-poached eels and tar-sweet olives, she followed what scraps of rumor she could glean. The house of black and white lay hidden at the far end of the canals, somewhere beyond the Ragman harbor. A temple of many-faced gods, sailors whispered, where the gift of death waited for any man bold or desperate enough to seek it. She bartered away half her coins for a cracked map and a passage on a poleboat rowed by a hunchback who smelled of sour wine. Night cloaked the lagoon when the skiff bumped an unlit quay. A marble stairway rose from black water, white steps on the left, black on the right. 2 towering doors loomed above, one of weirwood pale as bone, its twin as glossy as obsidian.
No lanternbern.
No guard kept watch. Yet the hair on her arms prickled as if unseen eyes skimmed every heartbeat inside her ribs. Arya climbed the white stair. At the summit she laid a trembling palm upon the pale door. Its surface felt colder than winter stone, smoother than river glass. A heartbeat passed. Another. She pressed harder, half suspecting nothing would happen. Then the door sighed inward without a sound. The hall beyond was neither black nor white, but a shifting tapestry of both. Storm cloud shadows woven with moon-pale veils of light spilling from latticed windows high above. Statues ringed the chamber, each bearing a different face. Some serene, some snarling, some twisted in rapture or grief. Candles guttered at their feet in pools of yellow wax that smelled faintly of cedar. The air tasted of distant rain. Vala Morgulis. The voice rippled from every corner at once. A man's voice, or perhaps a woman's. Arya spun, hand darting to the knife at her belt. A figure stepped from shadow where no figure had stood a beat before. Tall, robed in robes of solemn gray, its hood carved with wrinkles of deep silence. She could not glimpse a face, only darkness within darkness. All men must die, she replied, throat dry. So I have been told. A pause stretched, thin as spider silk. Then, why have you come, child of the wolf? She lifted her chin. To learn. Learn what? How to make the list end. Silence again. The robed one tilted its head, as though regarding a small and curious sparrow. You seek to bestow gifts you scarcely understand. I understand enough. I have given the gift before. Light shivered in the figure's cowl. Death or mercy? A coin can buy a man bread or purchase his grave. Both uses are true, yet bread feeds life and a grave feeds worms. Do you know which you offered? Arya's fingers tightened on her knife. I gave them what they paid for with their crimes. Vengeance wears many masks. Here we collect them all. The stranger gestured toward the circle of statues. Each face holds a prayer. Kiss the right one and you may begin to learn. Kiss the wrong and Braavos will reclaim you. Choose. She swallowed. Stones stared back, their features flickering in candlelight. A mother cradling a babe, a bearded warrior, a maid with tears of pearl, a stranger cloaked and faceless. No whispers guided her. No wolf blood urged direction. She remembered Jacqueline's smile, like sunlight upon broken chains, and stepped to the stranger's statue. It bore no visage at all, only a blank plain smooth as river ice. She pressed her lips to the cold stone. It tasted of iron and long-forgotten snow. When she turned, the hooded figure had vanished. In its place lay a folded robe of muted gray and a basin of still water. On the basalt floor, her cracked map smoldered, edges curling to ash without flame. Years passed, or moments, for in the house of black and white time unspooled like thread through a blind woman's fingers. Arya drank of darkness and silence. She learned to walk without footfall, to breathe without breath. She learned the secrets of poisons, the sweet scent of basilisk blood that masked its kill, the lethal sheen upon a manticore's sting ground into dust fine as smoke, the colorless kiss of tears of liss. She learned to pluck voices from air, the sigh of a locked chest that has not moved in a lifetime, the rattle in a drunkard's cough that foretells the hour of his death. But most of all, she learned faces. In vaulted rooms beneath the temple floor, countless visages hung, skin cured by alchemy and prayer until they resembled polished leather masks. Men, women, children, every hue, every line, every scar, awaited a wearer. Arya watched the kindly man, so she called her stern tutor, peel away his own countenance to reveal another beneath, as effortless as doffing a hood. She masked horror behind obedience, then beseeched the many-faced god to guard her courage. That prayer alone she spoke nightly. She swept floors, tended candles, washed corpses pulled from canal shallows, and when no one watched, whispered her list beneath her breath. Yet over seasons the names dulled, edges smoothed by repetition. Some nights she could not recall Whisa's face or Polliver's laugh. Guilt stung sharper than vinegar. She feared losing the wolf, feared the stranger consuming all that remained of Arya Stark. The kindly man marked her worry. Do not grasp identity tight enough to choke it, he warned as they knelt beside a dying smuggler. Let memory float like a leaf upon water. Clutch the leaf, it sinks and rots. Release it, you may follow the current wherever it leads. Yet one memory refused the current. Her father's head, lips parted as if to name her one last time, before the sword lopped silence across his tongue. Eddard Stark's ghost kept her anchored, even when they sewed fresh masks upon her flesh until she bled tears of numb pain. She felt his cool hand steady on her shoulder, bidding her stand. When she could adopt a face without tremor, when she could echo a foreign tongue after hearing but a single sentence, when her blade found an apple's core without bruising its skin, the kindly man summoned her to a chamber lit by a single lantern. Your training nears completion. Shadows carved hollows beneath his eyes that no longer belonged to the wrinkled fisher she'd known yesterday. You have been daughter, merchant, cripple, noble, yet you remain a girl clutching a list. Before you leave this house, you must give that list away. Arya squared her shoulders. I will give it away after I finish it. A servant who chooses her own targets is no servant at all. Then I will be Arya again. Is that what you wish? She thought of Winterfell's broken towers, of Bran lost beyond the wall, of Robb howling his war cry somewhere in the Riverlands, of Sansa caged like a dove beside a cruel boy-king. She thought of Mother, wandering grief-mad along the Red Fork, though she could not know the truth of Lady Catelyn's fate. And she thought of a tall old lion roaring commands from a gilded throne in King's Landing. Lord Tywin Lannister, armored in arrogance, architect of every Stark grief. She nodded once. "I wish for the lion to fall. After that, we will see." The kindly man studied her long. At last he sighed, a sound like parchment tearing. "Very well, wolf girl. The many-faced god requires balance. One name you claim, one name you surrender. Take the lion and relinquish a name of equal weight. When balance is served, you will return or lose all faces forever." Arya bowed over shaking fists. "To whom do I surrender? That is for the god to reveal. But remember, Valadohiris, all must serve." Spring sun dazzled the narrow sea when Arya boarded the Mirrored Lady, a Braavosi whaler bound for Gulltown. She traveled as No Hope Hasby, a spice merchant's mute daughter. Her new face bore olive skin freckled beneath wide green eyes. Her hair, dyed a coppery hue, cascaded to her waist in soft curls. Silent, she watched the gulls wheel above the prow and marked each prayer beat of time. 10 days to the Vale, perhaps, then south along high roads to Casterly Rock's Lord, or east to King's Landing if the lion still roared there. All pathways led to Tywin. News traveled faster than cogs. Robb Stark marched south from Riverrun again, banners crackling like northern thunder. Lord Frey dallied with marriage pacts. Lord Bolton whispered quiet promises. The lion gathered gold and veteran spears. War coiled for a last strike. Arya felt urgency sharpen each breath, yet she forced patience. Faceless men did not hurry. They appeared precisely when the world's breath faltered, like frost at dawn. She reached King's Landing first, posing now as Cat of the Canals. No longer a girl, but a willowy woman trading oysters and whispers. She sold cockles to red-cloaked Lannister guards, gleaning rumors. Lord Tywin had ridden west 2 moons past but returned triumphant from the Golden Tooth, bringing half the Westerland's strength. He lodged in Maegor's Holdfast, planning a royal wedding to bind his line forever to Tyrell roses. The city stank of celebration and sewage. Common tongues praised the Lord's measured wrath. Small folk feared his cold eyes more than wildfire. On a mist-cloaked morning, Arya glided through the red Keep's Potter's Gate disguised as a washerwoman. A cask of lye-soaked linens balanced upon her shoulder. She mapped guard rotations, servant passages, feast hall alcoves he favored. Tywin dined each dusk at a long ebony table beneath a window of crimson glass. He drank watered wine, 6 parts river water to 1 part arbor red. He disliked venison, citing gout, and sent kitchen boys to the stocks for too much pepper. He wore no gems save a golden brooch shaped like a lion's paw. The pin could skewer a fish. The gods offered more fortune. Grand Maester Pycel's poultices came from Lorith, delivered in vials crusted white with dried brine. The poison called Sweet Sting resembled that crusted salt, identical in weight and taste when dissolved. 3 granules slowed a man's heart until sleep became a stone-deep coffin. 9 granules killed within breaths, leaving eyes wide but peaceful. She palmed enough for 10,000 hearts and thought of the coin Jaqen had given her long ago. Heads the girl lives, tails she dies. This she deemed must be tails. Yet each dusk she hesitated. Tywin never ate alone. Squires poured wine. Pages carved meat. Maesters hovered with ledgers. A Lannister's death would claim many bystanders, some guilty, most not. Arya grappled with the kindly man's lesson. A coin can buy bread. Or a grave. She sought one grave, not a mass. After a week's study, she glimpsed her chance. Tywin met nightly with Queen Cersei in a small solar 2 towers distant. Doors barred and guards posted outside, but no servants within. There he lectured her on gold and strategy while she paced, goblet clutched white-knuckled. Wine alone attended them. No bread, no fruit, no chance of accidental victims. All she needed was the wine. On the 48th evening following her arrival, the wine flagon changed hands thrice, from cellarer to page to guardsman. Arya was the guardsman, face of a grizzled veteran she had studied in the yard, complete with hawk scar at the jaw. Leather creaked as she bowed before the Lord of Casterly Rock, eyes lowered in proper deference. Tywin dismissed her with a flick. Inside the silver flagon, 9 granules dissolved without trace. She lingered outside the solar as Cersei's shrill voice seeped through oak. Arguments over dowry, over veil color, over seating of Dornish princes. Tywin answered with glacial calm. Minutes dripped. Then silence mid-sentence, as if a harp string snapped inside the walls. A goblet shattered. Cersei gasped. Footsteps thundered. Arya stepped back as doors burst wide. The queen stumbled out, mascara smeared, screaming for Pycelle. "Father! Father's fallen!" Her gown swished scarlet as pooled blood. Guards swarmed, Arya among them, mask still firm. She pushed through to peer upon her kill. Tywin Lannister sat rigid in a high-backed chair, neck corded, lips parted. His eyes stared at some distant ledger only he could see, as though the realm's debts still demanded settling even in death. No wound marked him. Life had fled as quietly as a coin sliding across a table. The assassin felt no triumph, only a stillness vast as night sea. Balance had been served, but the many-faced god's bargain remained unsettled. One name surrendered for one taken. As the keep erupted in cries and bells, Arya's heart squeezed about a single truth. She had not chosen which name she would give back. The answer came swift and cruel. In the chaos of the sudden death, ravens arrived from the twins. Lord Frey had hosted King Robb at an evening feast, only to unleash steel and crossbow bolts beneath his own rafters. Catelyn's stark scream had echoed across the river before knives silenced her forever. Grey wind lay hewn at the doors. The young wolf bled beside a bride still bound in bridal silk. Northern banners were ashes. Arya reeled, grief-struck. Robb mother gone. The list had balanced itself with savage precision. She had slain the lion. The lion's dealings had felled the wolf she loved. The many-faced god smiled through tragedy. Yet rage survived grief. She would not replace names. She would erase them all. Cersei, Joffrey, Frey, Bolton. Each would learn the face of death. But those tales lay beyond the moonlit battlements, beyond bells tolling for a Lord Cold as his coffers. For now, Arya Stark, No Hope Hasby, Cat of the Canals, the ghost of Harrenhal, slipped a final time through secret passages and vanished into a city howling with rumor. Behind her, Maegor's holdfast rang with chaos, and the lion's roar died with a whisper sweet as sleep. Night cloaked the Blackwater. She drifted beneath the winged bridge in a stolen skiff, eyes dry, list empty for the first time since she could remember. The world had taken what she loved, and she had taken its master of cruelty. Balance, the kindly man would say, but balance felt like ruin. Still, she rode on, toward the open sea, toward Braavos again, or perhaps to the wall's cold echo where a half-remembered brother once stood sentinel. Faces waited to be worn, breaths waited to be stolen, and somewhere, far north, the howl of a direwolf still haunted the snow. Arya listened. In the hush between heartbeats, she thought she heard it answer. Approximate 18,500 characters. Let me know when you'd like the next installment. Pale dawn spilled across the Blackwater as the skiff slid under the river's low fog. Arya kept the single or silent, dipping and twisting only when the current faltered. When gulls began screaming above the wharves of the Hook, she eased into an abandoned inlet, lashed the boat to a drift post, and clambered across warped planks to an alley where rotting nets sagged like dead men's flags. She paused, listening. King's Landing still breathed in uneasy sleep, its towers smudged against a pearl-gray sky, yet bells had tolled half the night for Lord Tywin. Candlemakers would grow rich on lion-shaped tapers. Gravediggers would earn double for the gilded crypt. But Tywin's gold could not purchase a heartbeat. Arya stole a rag-bundled cloak from a washing line and joined a procession of fishwives trudging toward the mudgate. Soldiers, red-eyed from torch duty, waved them past with barely a glance. Beyond the outer wall, carts queued for leagues, waiting to bring bread and barley into a capital suddenly rudderless. A rider spurred down the line shouting the Queen Regent's decree. No provisioning without royal warrant. Prices set at 3 times market. Shouts rose. Stones flew. A wagon overturned. The woman beside Arya hissed a curse and slipped away down a side road. Arya followed. They took the Rose Road 2 leagues before the stranger halted amid wind-bent willows. She was older than Arya had judged, cheeks hollow, hair threaded with gray. "You're no Kingston fishwife," the woman muttered. "I saw how you palmed that guard's dagger. Left side, blind angle." "I don't know what you mean," Arya answered, shifting her bundle. "Keep the lie if it pleases you, but lies are coins in wartime. Spent once, lost forever." She crouched, uncovering a hidden satchel of smoked eel. "My name's Merel." She tossed a strip of fish to Arya. "Eat. You'll need strength if you're bound for the Riverlands." "How do you know where I'm bound?" "Because every road east of the city is choked with Tyrell men riding for Highgarden. Every road south swarms with Sellswords sniffing Dornish silver, and every fool heading west wants Lannister pay. That leaves north, and north is war." Arya chewed. The eel was tough but sweet. "I head north, yes." Merel nodded as if the day itself confirmed her deduction. "Vengeance, then. I smelled it on you. When bells ring that hard, blood answers." Arya stiffened, uncertain whether to bolt or draw steel. "Peace," Merel said, raising both hands. "I won't pry, but north's a mire. The twins are locked tighter than Hightower vaults. Freys hang any stranger who so much as spits too near the Green Fork. And there's darker rumor. Bolton flaying banners over Moat Cailin and dread things in the Wolfswood. Still want to go?" "I have to." Merel studied her. "Then travel by river. Hire a keelboat at Maidenpool. Drift up the Trident past Derry and Stonehenge. There's talk of a brotherhood riding the Blackwood there, hooded, iron-glyph torches. They call themselves the Lightning Lord's Sons Returned, though their lord's long dust. If your cause is righteous, they might shelter you." Arya remembered whispers of Beric Dondarrion and Thuras of Myr at Harrenhal. Shadows beneath bridges, blades of sudden flame. She nodded once. "I'll find them." Merel rose. "Mind the dead in the river. War sends more than trout downstream. Witho." Uti farewell, she vanished amid the trees, leaving only crushed reeds and eel oil on the wind. Arya turned her feet north. She reached Maidenpool 5 days later, boots eaten through from salt marsh and bracken. House Mutton's banners drooped over ruined walls. Siege scorpions still jutted like splinters from the gatehouse. Inside, refugees bartered straw for onion peels. The innkeep thrust a bowl of acorn paste toward her when she asked for water. No one spoke of the king. Small folk cared only for Mordenskai's hinting late frosts. Along the wharf she found a boatman named Carrot, a squat man with carrot-orange beard stiff as hog bristles. He agreed to carry her upriver if she mended nets each night. His skiff, the Red Carver, smelled of tallow and rank hoof, but its half-decked hull needed only a skeleton crew. They pulled upstream beneath cloud-stained afternoons, passing fields unplowed and hamlets burnt to shale. Once Carrot hauled a corpse snagged on the keel. A fry bowman, corvid-pecked, throat violet from choke wire. He muttered the men of the Lightning Lord had struck again. Arya cleaned her blade meticulously that night, eyes on the moon. On the 6th dawn, fog shrouded the willow-lined banks like ghost lace. Carrots or snagged something heavy. When Arya peered over, the fog parted to reveal a spectral lantern drifting on a splintered mast. Runes of lightning had been carved into the prow. Carrot paled. "We're summoned," he whispered. Figures rode out of the mist upon half-submerged horses, phantoms until hooves parted reeds. Their cloaks were patchwork, Lannister crimson stitched to stark gray, Baratheon yellow mended with Tully blue, stripped from fallen foes. A tall rider raised a torch carved like a stag, flame blue in the drizzling air. "The river gives," he intoned, voice rough as old timber. "And the Lightning Lord remembers." His helm bore antlers of black iron. Carrot stammered excuses. Gold pieces flashed, but the rider shoved them back. "No coin buys passage. Justice demands you step ashore." Arya leapt first, hood shadowing her face. The grass squelched cold around her boots. Banners rustled overhead, oak leaves sewn to charred half-moons. The other riders fanned out, blades low but ready. "My name is Mercy." It was one of the faces she'd worn in Braavos for a week among mummers, gentle and wide-eyed. "I bring news of Tywin Lannister's death." A hiss rippled. Several men crossed sign of the seven. One spat. "How?" the stag-helmed asked. "Poison took him in Maegor's holdfast. He fell the same night Lord Frey betrayed King Rob." She swallowed. "That blood screams for answer, and I mean to answer it." The antlered man dismounted. He removed his helm, revealing tangled hair stripped with gray, eyes sunken but sharp. "You are no stranger," he said softly. "Lift the hood." Arya considered lying again. Let mercy live, let cat die, but daylight would not permit half-truths. She pushed the hood back. Wind tugged at her ash-dyed curls. The man's eyes widened. "Seven save us, you're a child." "I'm a wolf," she answered, voice flat. "They killed my pack. Will you help me hunt?" The stag-helm's gaze swept her for hidden sigils, scars, tells. He saw perhaps the ghost of a little lord's daughter once paraded in silks and expectation. Yet what lingered now was steel. "My banners answer only the lightning," he said, "but the storm rides close." "Come." The Brotherhood's encampment lay beneath a tor of black-eye pines, invisible from river or road. Tattered tents ringed a fire pit stoked by fallen shields of Lannisport, their sigils char and bone. Within a makeshift hall of felled trunks, Arya met leaders who called themselves the Ashen Court. Lady Jenny Lark, who once served wine in Riverrun cellars. Old Thorin Fair, whose gouty toes still cursed Aaronford arrows. Father Merwin, a red priest of R'hllor who claimed the fire showed him how many breaths remained to every man. The man with antlers answered to Ser Simon Vance, cousin to the late Ser Ronald Vance who had died beside Lord Tully. He spoke seldom, preferring the crackle of his torch. At dusk they held council. Scouts reported Frey outriders gathering at the Crossroads Inn. Bolton's flayed banners moved south from the Twins, trailed by cages of northern prisoners destined for Harrenhal. Lord Roose sought to claim the trident before marching on Moat Cailin. But south of Red Fork, loyalties frayed. Rivermen bristled at Bolton rule. Small folk cursed Frey tolls. The Ashen Court plotted sabotage, burning supply wagons, cutting rope bridges. Arya listened, silent. When debate lulled, she spoke. "You strike wagons, they build new. Cut rope, they lash planks. End the heart and the limbs fall." Old Thorin squinted. "And you know where the heart beats, little wolf?" Roose Bolton rides under King Tommen's pardon and Walder Frey's gold. Kill both and the Riverlands ignite. But hearts only beat by order of a brain. At the moment, Cersei Lannister's. Lady Jenny Lark laughed bitterly. "King's Landing still overflows with gold cloaks and higher blades. If Tywin's dead, she'll spin silk from his bones for siege engines. We'd need an army of faceless shadows to breach the Red Keep." Arya's lips thinned. "Maybe only one." The torchlight flickered across her features, and for the briefest beat the face she wore thinned, revealing bone beneath. Father Merwin flinched as if scarlet sparks leapt in her eyes. Ser Simon broke the hush. "We have no time for sorcery. Men die each dawn at Frey nooses. Arya Stark has cause, but so do 100,000 widows. The Brotherhood seeks justice that feeds many, not vengeance that feeds one. Your justice will starve if Frey and Bolton choke every river," Arya answered. "My vengeance is your bread." That night, the fires burned low. Arya slept beneath half-torn canvas, dreams haunted by direwolves running red fog. She awoke before dawn, and in the gray hush found Father Merwin tending ember beads within a clay brazier. "You burned a shadow across the hall," he murmured as she knelt. "Flame shows truths. Yours flickered between many faces, but one shape persisted." His hand traced a sigil upon the air, a direwolf crowned by a sword. "I have no crown," Arya said. "Perhaps not, but a sword you bear, one forged of names." He proffered a waterskin laced with juniper and ghost pepper. "Drink. It will stoke your veins for what comes." She sipped. Heat coursed her throat. In the brazier's glow, she realized Merwin's eyes held twin fires, one reflecting flame, the other something deeper, ancient. "What do you see?" she asked. "The many-faced god has a twin in R'hllor, the darkness beyond flame. You walk between both, a blade of twilight. If you strike, you must choose which god you serve, else risk serving neither. Gods are names too, she replied, quoting the kindly man, all men must die. He smiled sadly. Then pray you meet the god who greets you kindly. A fortnight unfurled in skirmish and smoke. Arya shadowed Ser Simon's band, striking fry patrols along willow-choked fords. She took few lives herself, only when eyes turned or steel faltered. But each kill she marked upon her secret ledger, a new face to borrow if need required. She felt the wolf within sharpening on bloodstone, yet refusing to devour conscience entire. She spared boys barely older than herself, disarmed and bound rather than slit. The kindly man's lesson about bread versus graves guided her still. During a raid on a tethered ferry near Pink Maiden, they captured ravens bearing scrolls sealed black and pink. Bolton wax. Lady Jenny Lark read by lantern. Lord Roose commanded Ser Enes Fry to hold the western bank till Bolton reinforcements arrived. He spoke too of the dwarf's coin, buying sell-sail galleys at salt pans to ferry forces south. But a side note intrigued Arya. Queen Cersei had summoned Lord Walder's second son, Ser Hostine, to court, promising title and tract of Reach land for testimony that the Red Wedding avenged Lannister wrongs. Cersei sought to legitimize slaughter before the faith. Arya's pulse quickened. Cersei would soon place all blame upon Fry and Bolton, gilding her own hands clean of Tywin's war ledger. She would stand before the High Septon wearing widow's black and speak of duty and debt. The realm would bow, unless the widow never made her plea. That night she knelt beside the campfire and unwrapped a small oilskin pouch. 2 preserved faces, one plump and kind, made of the Stormlands. The other gaunt, eyes lined like crow's feet, matching a silent sister of the faith militant she had watched in King's Landing. Either could carry her inside the Red Keep September, but faces alone were threads. She needed needle to weave them. She found Ser Simon sharpening his sword on a fallen log. I need a swift horse and passage to Maidenpool's coast, she said. He raised a brow. Abandoning the fight? Changing its field? Ser Simon sighed. I thought one day I might see the wolf's howl. Go then. But the Ashen Court cannot spare men for escort. I ride faster alone. He tossed her a purse of silver stags reclaimed from a Fry pay chest. Spend them before they're blood-stained. Under a slivered moon Arya rode Eris, a black filly lean as wire, pounding mud banks until dawn. She stopped only to water the horse or chew bitter leaf that numbed hunger. In 2 days she reached Duskendale, where a Braavosi merchant cog, the Pearl of Belgear, prepared to sail for King's Landing with barrels of Tyroshi pear brandy. Arya bribed the first mate with 3 silver stags and a story of urgent hospice. Her mistress a septa near death, requiring a silent sister's service. Sails snapped, gulls cried, and by sunset the red walls of the capital loomed once more. Arya kept below deck until dark, then disembarked amid cargo inspectors distracted by brandy's perfume. Atop the bluff, September Baylor's spires glimmered candle gold, but the keep's windows burned low, grief dimming revel. She found a ragpicker's shed by the street of flower and changed faces. The maid she chose held round cheeks, freckles, and trusting blue eyes. With soot and a little charcoal, Arya traced subtle folds to age herself a dozen years. The sister's robes she'd stolen from a cart near Fairmarket smelled of rose oil and vinegar. She wound a bleached shawl about her hair and pinned the Blacktear badge of the Silent Sisters at her throat. In the mirror shard, no wolf looked back. At dawn she joined a small procession of novices bearing perfumed shrouds toward the Great September. The gold cloaks waved them through. The city's dead required tending, and Silent Sisters spoke few questions. Inside, she found the sept alive with hushed bustle. Chandlers relighting votives, singers rehearsing dirges, Tyrell florists knotting wreaths of maiden's kiss. High above, sculpted dragons seemed to curl about pillars, their stone wings catching sunrise. A white book squire guided her to an antechamber where Queen Cersei awaited in widow's black trimmed gold. 2 maids fussed with her veil. Her beauty had become brittle, jaw clenched tight as a vice. When the maids withdrew, Arya remained, silent as stone. Cersei approached the cerulean window, staring toward the Red Keep's ramparts. She whispered as if to herself, "Seven save me from fools. The realm cannot see weakness when wolves are at the gate." Her fingertips brushed the velvet chaise where she'd sat each eve reciting testimony for the faith. Arya stepped forward, head bowed. She produced a vial of Myrish night water, commonly used to calm grief-stricken lords. Silent sisters were expected to offer such draughts. Cersei accepted without glance, draining it in 2 swallows. Moments stretched. The queen sighed, perhaps expecting relief. Instead, her lips paled, eyes darted. "Wine," she croaked to an empty room. One hand clutched Arya's arm, nails drawing blood even through habit cloth. Breath shallow, Cersei sank to her knees. Night water laced with strangler blossoms left the tongue purple and the breath hissing like a dying reed. Arya supported the queen's shoulders as her muscles locked. Cersei's gaze found her, widening not with terror but with furious comprehension. "You..." The word tore like silk on thorns. Gold dyed in her irises, leaving only dull green. Arya leaned close. "A debt for Robb. For Mother." Her voice was soft, barely air. "For the little girl who watched the lion roar." Cersei choked. Foam flecked her chin. The Queen of 7 Kingdoms collapsed against the tiles. Death visited so swiftly that the choir beyond had not yet reached the chorus of their dawn hymn. Arya propped the body as if in dutiful vigil, hands folded. The door clicked open. Grand Maester Pycelle shuffled in, holding parchment. He froze at the tableau. "My queen," his voice quavered. Then he noticed Arya. "Septa? What is?" She placed 2 fingers to her lips in silent sister sign for prayer. Pycelle blanched, drew near, palsied hand reaching to test breath. While his eyes bent to the still chest, Arya's hand slid the brooch pin from his collar. A flick, a spurting hiss, and the maester slumped over the corpse he served. 2 names, she thought grimly, but balance demanded stillness, not carnage. She laid Pycelle gently beside Cersei, crossed their hands. Silent sisters would find them soon, attribute twin tragedies to shared grief or the gods. The faith might see omen, the realm would see chaos. As footsteps echoed in distant corridors, Arya wiped the pin clean on her habit, replaced it on Pycelle's cloak, and stepped through a servant's arch. Downward she glided. Spiral stairs, rat passage, disused larder. She emerged in a courtyard where Septri horses stamped morning chill. A stable boy dozed. One soft blow to the temple and he slept on. She saddled a roan mare and rode for the Dragon Gate before trumpets could blare. Within an hour smoke spiraled behind her, the Red Keep awakening to new nightmares. She spurred east along the dry riverbed, abandoning horse once city walls vanished. There she donned the second stolen face, the hollow one of a quiet Riverlands washerwoman. Gray hair, stooped gait, roomy eyes. No gold cloak would recall such a wraith. By sundown, Arya boarded a salt barge heading to the rush. She sat between coopers and beggar monks, stirring onion soup, eyes down. Word of the twin deaths reached the barge captain by dawn. He gaped, telling whoever would listen that the gods punished House Lannister, that old Tywin's ghost dragged his daughter to the grave. Arya stirred soup and hid a smile. The Riverlands seethed. Fry columns retreated toward the twins to guard Walder's grandsons. Bolton riders pressed south but found bridges burned and fords mined by Brotherhood firepots. With Cersei and Pycelle dead, King Tommen's regency shattered. Mace Tyrell claimed counsel, yet Sparrow priests refused, citing divine investigation. Raven tales multiplied faster than crows. A ghost knight slaying Fry heirs in their sleep, a wolf queen prowling the trident, a faceless witch walking among Brotherhood ranks. Arya dismissed half, but each rumor frightened Fry conscripts into hesitation. She returned to the Ashen Court within 3 weeks, cloaked in washerwoman guise. As she crossed the outer pickets, a boy whistled twice. Jenny Lark hurried from a tent, eyes wary. When Arya lifted her mask, Jenny Lark gasped, then embraced her fiercely. "Lightning take me. You vanished. Work needed doing. Did it?" Arya met her eyes. "Cersei's dead." Grand Maester with her. Regent's council torn. Fry riders scatter like quail. Jenny Lark's hand covered her mouth. Gods, we heard whispers, but they'll confirm soon. Plan accordingly. Ser Simon convened council by torch that night. News spread like wildfire rain. King's Landing paralyzed, Tyrell bannermen marching home. Iron Throne chaired by a boy of 8 without mother or grandsire. The Ashen Court resolved to strike the twins before Bolton reinforcements. With Lannister gold withheld, Fry coffers drained. Castle guards would be thin while Walder mustered guests for funeral feasts. If they could seize the crossings, northern survivors might rally. Arya volunteered for the vanguard, but Simon shook his head. The list you carry devours from within. Rest teach orphans to aim bowstrings. We will need more wolves soon. She bristled, then bowed. Rest proved foreign. She prowled camps restless, training ragged boys in Braavosi footwork, instructing girls to slip beneath shields and hamstring armored men. At night, she sat with Father Merwin beside sacrificial fires, watching the flames dance faces. Once she glimpsed her own. No, not her own. A tapestry of dozens smiling and screaming. She told herself she remained Arya Stark beneath it all. Yet her father's gentle eyes seemed distant as stars. When the Brotherhood marched, she rode at mid-column wearing the face of a bearded Celsail named Yorick, seized from a Fry scout. They stole through alder copses, bypassing main roads. Lightning torches guided stragglers to hidden bivouacs. By the 5th day, hoarfrost silvered dead cornfields, a warning of early winter. They reached Hag's Mire, half a day's march from the twins. Scouts reported Walder Fry preparing a funeral feast for Cersei's envoy son Hostine, slain on the Rose Road by brigands emboldened after the queen's death. Hostine's body lay in the castle sept. Banners of mourning flew. Fry morale wavered. Many men had not been paid since Tywin's fall. Yet crossing gates remained strong wood, chains thick. Ser Simon formulated a plan. Father Merwin would stage as a red priest, petitioning Walder for funeral rites and prophecy. Inside, he would ignite wildfire hidden within Lawler urns. Simultaneously, archers would seed chaos on the western rampart while Simon's torches hammered the eastern drawbridge. Once gates fell, riverfolk levies would flood the courtyard. Arya watched the map flicker in campfire glow. Faces of her slain surfaced. Polliver, Weiss, Meryn Trant yet to die. And she wondered who she would wear tonight. She chose none. Instead, she crept from camp at moonrise, slipping across bog reeds toward the causeway like silent frost. The bridge spanned black waters where pikes circled. Fry guards huddled inside gatehouse, lantern light dim. Arya climbed rope ladders made of willow she had braided earlier, stepping onto parapets stone cool as bone. Needle flashed once, twice. 2 guards thumped soundless. Inside a storeroom, she found barrels of lamp oil. She rolled them across planks, punctured staves, and tipped iron fire lamp. Oil flowers bloomed, licking timber. She departed uphill passage as flames roared. From the opposite tower, red priest torches flared. Simon's timing collided with hers in perfect storm. Twin keeps illuminated night like dragonfire. Horns blared, gates groaned. Below, Brotherhood ranks charged. Arrows streaked, axes clanged, shouts of king in the north echoed though no king remained. Arya joined battle where a Fry sergeant swung halberd at Jenny Lark. She ducked, drove dirk beneath gorget. Blood spurted hot on her cheek. Walder Fry never appeared on battlements. Rumor later claimed he hid beneath great hall tables while flames melted lead casements. When dawn came, the twins lay smoking, gates shattered. Brotherhood banners, oak leaf over thunderbolt, rose above corpse-strewn courtyards. Walder's heirs lined gallows posts. Walder himself was found strangled, no culprit named. Arya suspected Lady Jenny Lark's wire. She did not ask. The Green Fork now ran free. News traveled northward like spring thaw. At Deepwood Motte, Lady Sibel Glover raised the direwolf once more. At White H. Arbor, Lord Wyman Manderley mustered long-beat swords. Even Bear Island answered, dispatching one-eyed Hallis Mormont to proclaim vengeance. Roose Bolton, still bogged near Barrowton, received word of the twins' fall and Cersei's death the same hour. His maester noted the Lord's pale eyes and silence that followed. Within a week, Bolton forces began retreat toward the Dreadfort. But snows closed roads, caches burned. Winter came early and cruel, as if northern gods avenged wrongs through ice and hunger. Arya stood upon the shattered bridge where once drums of the Red Wedding had pounded. River mist rose to her knees. She imagined Robb racing gray wind across open grass, Mother singing gentle scolds about manners. She felt their absence like arrowheads lodged too deep for surgeons. Yet wind carried other names now, a choir of freed voices. Lady Jenny Lark joined her. "Crowfoot Umber rides through Last River," she said softly. "If we hold Moat Cailin before solstice, Bolton is flanked. But we need more blades." Arya watched sunlight lick charred stones. "I will find them." "How?" "The north is ice. Wolves run best in snow." Jenny Lark searched her eyes. "There are whispers you wield ghosts." "Ghosts wield me," Arya said. "I go to Braavos, faces wait." She turned from the battlements. "Keep the rivers. Winterfell will answer soon." Jenny Lark's hand grasped her wrist. "Don't lose yourself amongst masks. Leave some piece of the girl for the world that comes after." Arya met her gaze, felt tears threaten. "I'll leave enough to howl." She descended burnt stairs, gathered packs, and at dusk slipped aboard a trader bound for salt pans. As keel thumped rhythm against waves, she opened her palm to reveal the iron coin given by Jaqen long ago, its surface worn now by countless rubs. "Vala Morgulis," she whispered to the gulls. The coin felt lighter than ever, yet within it lay weight enough to shape kingdoms. Across the horizon, Braavos awaited with its hall of midnight and dawn, and somewhere beyond the sea of faces, a girl named Arya Stark still hunted, not for vengeance alone, but for a world where wolves could run unafraid beneath flowering snows. The wind shifted, carrying scents of salt and pine and distant frost. She closed her fingers and let the future breathe between them. The brazen bell of the Titan told the dawn tide as the lean gray lady nosed into the lagoon, her hull creaking like an ancient door. Arya stood at the prow shrouded by a drab shawl, the Braavosi dawn washing her borrowed cheeks a pale rose. She tasted the brine and mildew of homecoming, yet Braavos no longer felt a home, merely the hinge between what she had wrought and what she must yet become. Canary-bright skiffs darted round the cog, oarsmen calling ribald jests. Fish scales flashed like coins. The city wore its usual carnival skin, but to Arya every lantern and lattice seemed to watch, as if the house of black and white already judged her ledger. She disembarked beneath the colonnade of Nera, paid the harbormaster with a silver star stamped Tywin Proud, Lannister coin now void of master, and vanished through the saffron market where spice ash sifted through bamboo sieves. She moved as Lana, a visiting Pentoshi weaver, broad hips padded, shoulders stooped by imagined loom. Even so, she felt the wolf pacing inside the borrowed flesh, itching underneath a sweater of obedience. The white stare awaited, flanked by twin doors blinding in early light. She chose the black steps this time. Balance, she recalled, must cut both directions. The obsidian door side at the press of her knuckles. Cool incense slipped round her ankles like river smoke. In the nave, the many-faced statues watched though none stirred. Then the kindly man's voice issued behind her ear, dry as reeds. "A daughter returns with 2 debts, one paid, one incurred." Arya bowed low. Balance claimed a wolf. "A lion answered," she said, thinking of Robb and Cersei. He circled till his sandaled feet appeared in her periphery. "And what of the queen's cub? The realm lists beneath regents like crippled ships. Chaos follows gifts given so freely." "Chaos frees the chained," she replied, rising, "or drowns them. Seat." He gestured to a stone plinth dusted with candle ash. She perched. He poured sweet water from a jade ewer. "Tell all." She spoke of silent sister robes, strangler blossoms, Pycelle's final gasp. She spoke of the twins aflame, Walder's choke, Bolton retreat. She did not speak of the ache that still burned deep as Winterfell's hidden hot springs, for such aches belong to Arya, not to a servant of the god. When she finished, lanterns guttered, as though the house exhaled. A reckless weave, the kindly man murmured. Each thread in a tapestry tugs three unseen. Lord Tywin's fall rippled, the queen's, twice so, yet still your eyes hunger. I seek to end Roose Bolton, Arya said. He carries Frey treachery south. He flays Starks under stolen banners. To strike Bolton you need not the god's blessing. You need an army of Northmen and Winter's teeth. What seeks the god this season is subtler. A tiny stitch undone may topple towers greater than Bolton's keep. She swallowed frustration. What stitch? A coin smuggled across your narrow sea, he said, producing a scrap of parchment. The Iron Bank petitions the Dreadfort for repayment long outstanding. Gold moves men as surely as blood moves the heart. Fetch the coin's courier, ensure he delivers the message not to Bolton, but to the one who will curse the debt and tear the sigil down. Wyman Manderley, she guessed. He hates the flayed man. Give him cause, he'll raise White Harbor. The kindly man inclined his head. Perhaps, or perhaps the coin meets another. You will travel as the courier's shadow. The face you wear must pass among bankers and stevedores alike. Choose with care. Choose with humility. He extended a mask. Thin skin tanned umber, cheeks gaunt, a smattering of sun warts. A lysine Frecklezeller once worn by some long-dead envoy. Arya studied it. The moment her fingers brushed, memories not her own whispered. Salty list keys, perfume musk, ribs pressed by iron stays. She nodded. I will serve. Vala Dohiris, he intoned. Vala Morgulis, she answered, and the face drank her breath like a lover. The Iron Bank courier sailed under night canvas. A sleek sloop christened Fleetfoot. Arya booked passage as Karen, a middle-aged Lysini translator versed in Westerosi tongues. Her accent came easy. She let Braavosi lilt filter through a rasp of Essosi vowels. The courier, a pinched man named Tycho Nestoris, spent voyages deep in ledgers, seldom glancing at crew. Perfect. Arya sampled his hand each dusk from snuff-boxes left unattended, noted the directions he wrote, White Harbor, Oldcastle, Torrens Square, for debt calls. He meant to wring coin from every Stark bannerman wavering under Bolton's threat. 10 days out, a squall tangled rigging like Medwoman's hair. The Fleetfoot limped into the bight with shredded foresail. Arya helped bailing while Tycho moaned over water-blurred parchment. A lesser storm, to her mind, than those raging across North politics. White Harbor's tall walls rose milk-pale from fog at sunset. Harbor cranes squealed hauling hogsheads of grain. Crab catchers waded knee-deep scattering nets. Tycho insisted on immediate audience with Lord Manderley. Arya followed, meek translator. Inside the Wolf's Den's marble antechamber, Wyman Manderley loomed colossal upon a divan, soft eyes red-veined from wine and sleepless nights. His double chin quivered as Tycho laid out owed sums. A century-old loan for harbor improvements, payment defaulted by rebellion's churn, interest accruing by moon. When Tycho finished, Manderley's jowls trembled. Iron Bank squeezes a starving giant, he grumbled. Cities burn, dragons rumored in the east, and you tally coppers. Our ledgers weather all storms, Tycho said. Arya, Karen, translated flawlessly but added a subtle twist. She softened Tycho's demands into insinuation that Bolton's creditworthiness rosily impressed Braavos, that White Harbor risked repossession if it aided trader wolves. Wyman sputtered, near purple. Bolton's creditworthiness? The flayed sow horde's copper scraped from corpses. The Lord heaved upright. Tell your bank I'll pay when the North is whole again, not before. Arya bowed, schooling her face. Tycho's brow knitted confusion at the mistranslation. She placated him later with talk of idiom and northern honor. That eve she supped alone at an inn called the Sailor's Wife. Above boiled cod and ale she drafted a letter in crabbed Braavosi script. My lord, the wolves gather. Bolton and Frey stand on rotten legs. The Iron Bank will back whosoever claims the North with sound pledges. Seek Moat Caelan before first frost. She signed with a sigil only Wyman knew, a triple-knotted anchor, the emblem Robb Stark once gifted for Manderly loyalty. She left the scroll sealed in merman wax on his personal steward's tray, then melted into night. Next dawn, Tycho set sail north by west toward Sea Dragon Point. Arya feigned seasickness, disembarked citing need for warmer climate, and procured a sturdy gelding. But before quitting White Harbor, she visited the city's subterranean crypt, where lamps flickered across salt-etched pillars. There lay the statue of Lord Wyman's eldest, Ser Wendell, slain at the Twins. She knelt, placed a single wolf's tooth by the marble feet. "A debt," she whispered. "More will follow." Snowflakes bigger than maiden's lace escorted her ride west along the King's Road. Winter set early, curling white tongues across moor and fir. She rode by day, cloaked in grays a duller near match to sky, and by night sheltered in ruined watchtowers where hearths long dead gave no flame. Hunger pressed, but she snared hares and simmered them in iron pots of melted snow. 3 days shy of Castle Serwyn, a raven's shadow crossed her path. Real, not omen. The bird lighted on a birch stump, cawed once, and flew again, circling. Curious, Arya nudged her gelding after. The raven settled upon a fallen oak bridging a ravine. Beneath, a man lay sprawled wearing the patchwork cloak of the Brotherhood and fletched with 2 black shafts. Arya slid down, eyes narrowed to the trees.
No archeran ser.
She rolled the corpse. A boy, hardly 18, hair flaxen, eyes wide in last surprise. In his stiff hands lay a sealed parchment bearing the broken will sigil of the Brotherhood's ashen court. She pried it free, heart thudding. Inside, Jenny Lark's script bled brown where snow dampened edges. Stannis marches from the wall with free folk spears. His knights require safe ford through the Dreadfort swamps. We raid Bolton supplies but lack siege. Send the wolf if she prowls near.
J.
An oak leaf-stamped lightning sealed the waning message. Arya set lips thin. The arrowheads looked Bolton-forged, barbed like tiny flays. She closed the boy's lids and scooped earth for a cairn. North, the wind seemed to cry, "Home!" But home bore chained gray banners now, and the wolf needed fangs. She turned her gelding off the King's Road toward the Wolfswood, slipping beneath branches heavy with hoarfrost. 2 nights she rode unmarked trails until a horn owl's hoot answered her birch twig whistle. Riverfolk sentries led her blindfold to the Ashen Court's new camp tucked in a hollow shielded by willows. Jenny Lark embraced her fiercely, gaunt cheeks bruised by cold. "We feared the raven lost," she breathed. "It died in your service," Arya said, voice taut. They gathered by Pitchkin fires where Simon Vance traced lines in snow. Stannis at Carhold, Ironborn raiding Bar Rollins, Bolton hunkered behind Dreadfort palisades with Ramsay commanding outriders. Supplies dwindled. Northmen still wary, unsure the wolf banners had truly returned. One swift blow upon Bolton might break the dams. "But the bastards' kennels fill the moors," Simon warned. "We need stealth, not siege." "Mummers and masks," Arya murmured. Heads turned. She told them of the faces stored in Braavos and of a plan. Infiltrate the Dreadfort under guise of sell-sale cooks delivering salt pork from White Harbor, a treat Ramsay demanded weekly. Once inside, open kennel gates, sow confusion, light granaries. Then signal Stannis via smoke plumes. His southern van, waiting beyond King's Road split, would strike. "Bold lunacy," Simon muttered, "but dogs turn savage scenting strangers. You'd risk few for great gain." "Risk me," Arya said, "and any who can walk unseen." 3 volunteered: Josen Marsh, slender thief; Sparrow Tess, washerwoman with a knack for poisons; and Rusk Bitter, a silent bear of a man who once served Bolton kitchens. They spent nights rehearsing Bolton salute, dog kennel commands, drawbridge waits. Arya brewed a soporific stew using nightshade and poppy, enough to lull a fort. 10 days later, a timber wagon bearing salt pork and hog fat rumbled up the Dreadfort's icicle-clad ramp. Snow fell thick, muting hoofclops. Ramsay's kennelmaster, a scarred brute called Neck-Nick, waved them through after sniffing the fat. Rusk grunted passes. Arya smiled shyly as Lycine's servant Karenna, offering samples. Dogs whined, hackles high at new scents but soothed by raw bacon she tossed. Inside yard reeked of wet fur and rot. Pink flayed-man banners drooped heavy with sleet. Crossbeams held 2 northern prisoners flayed ribless. Rage boiled. She tucked it deep. They were lodged in kitchen annex beside smokehouse. Sparrow Tess charmed butchers with sweet sing-song, slipped poppy dust into barley brew. By dusk half the garrison wobbled. Arya fetched water from kennels, releasing 2 dog packs early. She laced troughs with pork dripping steeped in basilisk venom, fatal only to canines. A cruel duty, but a gate unguarded by hounds meant living men spared. Come moonrise, shrieks tore yard as dogs convulsed. Guards stumbled from barracks, vision blurred by spiked ale. Rusk unlocked granaries where pitch casks stored. Josen scattered lanterns. Flames whooshed sky-high, curling damnation pink. Ramsay Snow erupted bare-armed from a turret, eyes blazing. He seized a horn and roared orders. Arya, perched upon roof eave, watched his silhouette dance before Inferno. Needle lay ready. One shot might finish him, but better the bastard face Stannis' iron justice, she thought. She hurled a firepot onto the kennels, sending sparks like shrieking stars. Then she raised a brazier shield, jagged iron crate, tilting it thrice toward the east. Red and black smoke spiraled into night. Bolton crossbowmen rallied. One bolt nicked her calf. She tumbled off roof into snow, rolled, sprang limping towards Sally Gate. Josen thrust it open. Guerrillas outside rushed in. Steel clanged. Drunken defenders fell. Arya limped toward stables and smashed headlong into Ramsay. His eyes, pale as morning ice, widened at the Lysini face before recognition dawned shark-quick. He swung a cleaver. She ducked, hamstrung his leg. He shrieked, stumbled. She poised needle tip at his throat. "I know you," he rasped, spittle frothing. Arya Stark died. They wed her to me in Winterfell halls. That was a girl of paper. Meet the wolf of steel. Screams echoed. Horns blared outside walls as Stannis' vanguard slammed gates. Arya backstepped, leaving Ramsay on knees. Live, she hissed, long enough to feel his justice. She hurled a weighted platter, striking temple. He crumpled. Snow churned as Baratheon knights thundered into yard. Tall Ser Richard Horp of the Vale. Queen's men draped in fiery hearts. Wildlings leaping with patch-hide shields. Arya signaled with 2 fingers. Jenny Lark cut down drawbridge chains. Water horses lugged siege hammer. Stone cracked. By dawn, sullied pink banners lay in ashes. Roose Bolton escaped through night paths, but his hold shattered. Prisoners freed hailed Arya as Princess of Wolves. She shook her head no and vanished behind a new face, brown-haired boy page, before admiration could anchor. Stannis held war council in the fort's great hall, now reeking of char. He acknowledged the mysterious infiltrators, promised pardon in the name of kingly justice. Arya kept silent among camp followers. At council end, Jon Snow, Lord Commander since Mance's parley, arrived with rangers negotiating northern unification. His presence made her chest ache. She longed to cry, "Brother!" Yet the faces bound her. While lords debated, she slipped into Godswood where leafless heart tree bled red sap. Snow-muffled world. She knelt, whispering to old gods. Robb, Mother, Ned, guide the pack. Wind stirred thin red leaves like sighs. Footsteps crunched. Jon stepped into clearing cloaked in night's watch black. Wolf sigil clasped pewter. Ghost padded at heel, fur ghostlier in pale gloom. The direwolf sniffed, hackles smoothing, recognizing scent beneath masks. He whined low. Arya froze. Jon's gaze followed Ghost's muzzle, narrowing upon her borrowed boy face. She bowed head, heart racing. Masks hid visage but not aura. Siblings shared deeper thread. "Who are you?" he asked, voice soft as falling flakes. "A friend to the wolf," she murmured, pitching voice higher. "I served your cause tonight." Ghost circled, tail wag flicker. Jon knelt, expression a flux of memory and caution. "Ghost thinks you no stranger." Arya's throat tightened. She reached to scratch Ghost's ear. The wolf pressed into touch. Tears burned behind mask. "North owes you much," John said. "May I know your name?" She whispered, "No one." John regarded pale bark, blood-red sap trickling. "Even no one may find welcome at Winterfell when it rises again." Her breath misted. "If I come, I'll knock thrice at night. Then I'll open gate," John replied, standing. He inclined head and departed, leaving Ghost staring once more before loping behind. Arya collapsed to knees, sob tearing free. For now the face imprisoned her, yet his words warmed more than any fire. Victory crackled across North like aurora lightning. Bolton power broken, Frye garrisons surrendered. White Harbor, Deepwood, Barrowton raised direwolf at streets. Riverfolk sang of Wolf Queen and Faceless Hero. Stannis advanced south but found roads choked with Stark banners reclaiming. Walder Frey's lesser heirs sued truce. The Iron Throne, leaderless, sent no aid. Jenny Lark urged Arya to reveal truth, to lead Northern Council. But she refused. "The wolf pack has grown without me. My path walks shadows still." She sent Rusk and Josen to Winterfell carrying letters for Sansa, reports of survivors, and for Bran if rumor of Green Seer at the Wall held truth. She parted from Brotherhood under Newcast Dawn, alone along King's Road, bound again for Braavos to return the Iron Coin, to learn whichever final lesson awaited. She reached Sea Dragon Point where fisherfolk spoke of shimmers on eastern horizon, rumors of a black-scaled dragon glimpsed near Dragonstone, and sails of a silver-haired queen crossing stepstones. Power trembled across the realm. Arya boarded a merchant galley heading east, pockets heavy with secrets, heart lightened by a promise of throne gates opening at Triple Knock. As ship cut foam, she stood at prow beneath gull-screeched sky. She traced names she had given: Tywin, Cersei, Walder, half the bastard. Many remained: Meryn Trant, Island Payne, Gregor Clegane if he yet breathed. But list no longer weighed like iron. It gleamed like trail markers guiding through dark wood. And beyond tally of blood, another hope stirred. A winter kingdom cured of flayed men, a family sewn from sundered threads. She lifted the iron coin, feeling Braavosi wind whistle through hole at its center. "All men must die," she essayed. "ID. But first," she added, smiling as the horizon blushed, "the wolves must live." Wind hammered sail, and the lean gray lady leapt seaward like a freed hound, carrying a girl of many faces toward destiny's yet unwritten page.